So it's pretty clear from the title of this video, this is all about the cost of living in Chiang Mai in Thailand. For those of you that are new here, my name's Dane. My partner Stacey and I travel full-time, basically creating videos on this content of what experiences are like day to day as we travel, as well as like cool and epic things like elephant sanctuaries and, you know, amazing villas and all sorts of stuff sort of along the way. One thing that we do is we try and do a wrap-up video to show, once we're leaving a country after we've spent a little bit of time settled in one place, to sort of show honestly what the costs are like to live there, to prove to you guys that you know, that you guys can do it too, that slow travel isn't as expensive, or full-time travel isn't as expensive as what you think it might be. So we've spent a collective 6 months, probably about that, in Chiang Mai in different blocks at different times. We've got a video on the top 12 things to do in Chiang Mai if you're interested in finding out what there is to do here, and I'll link it so that you can take a look afterwards. We've also done different videos in the same topic of living costs in both Vietnam as well as the Philippines, and we're currently in Bali. We just left Chiang Mai. We've been creating some awesome videos here on villas and experiences and culture and all sorts of stuff, as well as we're going to be spending some time in Canggu, which is a popular spot as well to settle, just like Chiang Mai. So we'll have a cost of living video from there sometime in the future as well. But in short, these are the categories here that we've tracked, and we keep track of those every single day so that we can make these wrap-up videos like this for you guys. Just one point to make at the beginning is that this is obviously based on our experience, and we understand that you may have heard from your friend or that your experience was different, and we completely understand that. We know that everybody has different numbers based on theirs, but hopefully this gives you an understanding as to what sort of goes into it, especially considering we don't skimp either. We don't bootstrap, which is sort of the term that people use to say that we're like sleeping on the budget side of things or not doing anything. There's also 5 outside categories that often come up that people want us to talk about and we don't necessarily include in these videos, but in this one, if you stay to the end, I'll make sure that I cover them off briefly so you can understand what's included in those. So accommodation is obviously one of, if not the most expensive thing anywhere that you travel to, anywhere that you stay. And for us, that was $700 for the month. We were looking for apartments during high season, so this number is quite high. It did mean that our apartment was a little bit bigger, but that meant that we could reduce costs in other ways by, when we needed to do work, we would often do that from our apartment because we had 2 different working spaces, 2 different desks. But yeah, obviously more floor space. It was a beautiful apartment, great location on Nimman, and it was busy season when we were looking. We've got a whole video on that one here, so you can check it out afterwards if you want to. But $700, like, we were pretty happy with that cost. So the complex that we stayed in, we've actually stayed in a smaller room last time, and the utility costs were a lot cheaper. They've gone up 1 baht per unit more, which is not a hell of a lot, but it does sort of start to level out. So in total we spent $55 US, 240 baht of that was on water utilities, and the remainder was on electricity. Yeah, but it does seem a little bit high, but that's often running 2 air conditioners quite regularly. Wireless is also included in those costs. We didn't have to pay anything extra. That was included as part of the place, and speeds are great. We're talking like 30 meg consistently, if not faster. So if that's a concern for you, then definitely you don't have to worry about internet speeds at all in Chiang Mai. They're pretty much great everywhere. We cook at home once or twice a day, and sometimes by cooking that might just mean like meals at home, so that's breakfast at home, and that keeps some of the costs down. But groceries came out to $175, and that's still buying things like meat, vegetables, loads of fruit, you know, some of the Western sort of luxuries that we like that would be a lot cheaper if we bought Thai equivalent. So dining out is definitely where you'll have a lot of costs. The food in Chiang Mai is absolutely incredible. You can eat out for so cheap if you really want to. A lot of people go there and they just eat out absolutely every single meal. You're going to pay a lot less for a Thai meal. You're looking at about 40 baht per meal, whereas we mix it up and we would go to some of the higher end stuff as well. So we probably average between us about 150 baht per lunch, for example, but we spent $194 US in the entire month on dining out, which is absolutely crazy. Alcohol is included in some of that cost as well, which is even crazier again because it is so cheap and it's delicious as well. It depends what you get up to though as well, because the night after we finished these numbers, or our last night in Chiang Mai, we went out for dinner and we spent about $30 US on a night out with some friends at a fancier place. So it depends what your version of going out is. So as I just mentioned, going out with friends and everything, when we're out for dinner or when we're having drinks out or anything, we don't include that in entertainment. Entertainment is more like excursions, it's things out, but for us, for the most part, it's pretty much going to the movies. There's not, most other things fit into other categories. So we spent $33 on just that general entertainment category. Like I mentioned, in terms of the apartment, we had a really good spot. We had 2 desks. The coffee in Thailand is great if you just want to buy your own grounds or just drink instant. So we sort of didn't really go out to coffee shops too much, but sometimes we would go out multiple days in a row to work from a coffee shop or something. So we spent $18 on average across our like 2 to 3 months in the last stint. A coffee in a coffee shop will range from anywhere from about 40 to 100 baht, depending on if you're like a street vendor versus like an upmarket sort of cafe. Drinking water is definitely a controversial one. We refill bottles from these pump stations that exist around town. Lots of people say that they're dirty and you shouldn't do that. I mean, we sort of mix it up and we would buy bottled water when we're out. So it really depends, but in our case, collectively, I mean, drinking water as a whole was so cheap anyway, regardless of which way you go. We spent a whopping $3 on drinking water. Chiang Mai is a super walkable city. That's one of the things that we absolutely love, in particular around Nimman. Where we were based, it was like the gym, restaurants, Maya Mall for groceries, everything was super close. So we don't really use transport that much, but the number here of $13 was our average, and that was basically for Songtaos or Ubers or for Grab as well. So yeah, like that's an entire month, and that's going out maybe once or twice a week using that, I'd say. Phone plans in Thailand are super cheap. We spent $35 in total, so obviously half of that each. And that's for super fast data plans with, I think we had about 5 gig data each, sometimes maybe 7 gig. And yeah, but like that's 4G or LTE, super fast, never had any issues with consistency or, sort of shaky service. So yeah, definitely a plus on that side, because they're really effective if you want to hotspot to your laptop or something if you're out. The gym we trained at was Gold Hillside Gym, and that was $70 in total, so we're spending 35 bucks each. Really cool gym. We think it was really worth the price. It was really close to where we were staying, so that works out. There's lots of gym options around, and you can really mix it up. There's more expensive ones if you want really new equipment. There's also real super budget ones if you just want to throw around some tin. And there's CrossFit options as well, which we've never really looked into. Miscellaneous. This is sort of anything that doesn't fit into those other categories. It was only $18 there, but that was things like haircuts. I got a sinus infection at one stage, and I just went and just bought some amoxicillin over the counter at a legitimate pharmacy. Yeah, so just any other random things that I can't even think about what that was right now, but MISC, just anything that doesn't really fit in those categories was another $18. So in total, what does that all come to? $1,323 for the whole month for 2 of us to live. I mean, I've sort of alluded to it already, but we definitely don't skimp, but we're also not silly. We do have those nights out, like I mentioned, 700 and something baht or 30 something US, but just not all the time. You really don't need to. There are cheaper options around Chiang Mai, but we certainly don't say no to things. Yeah, so great life, super cheap, and lovely people, incredible culture, great food, and there's both Western and Thai influence there, and we like the balance of having the option to pick and choose what we want when. So there's 5 other categories that we mentioned, sort of the outside. For us is protein powder we often have around our workouts and stuff. I've included that in our cost before, and people are like, dude, no one cares about that, so that's not included in these numbers. Visas, doctors, insurance, and like trips away. Visas, we did a visa extension while we were in Chiang Mai. If you're only there for 30 days, you don't have to worry. If you want to stay for longer, then ideally you come in on a single entry, otherwise you'll have to extend, and we spent probably about a collective $121 for both of us in total to extend to stay for another month. We had a trip away to Pai. We've got loads of videos from there, well, maybe 3, I'm exaggerating, 3 or 4 videos from Pai. If you want to see what that looks like, I'll link that playlist here so you can have a look. Really cool time away. I didn't track what those numbers were, but you need to consider that if you are going to go to Chiang Mai or if you're going to fly to Bangkok. We also had to go to the hospital a couple of times because Stacey got an eye infection, which was really crazy, but incredible service, most amazing hospital experience we've had anywhere in the world. So if you're concerned about that fact, you can just honestly just forget about it, because it was so great and everybody was so lovely, and that in total cost $67 to go in and get all of the medicine, antibiotics, eye drops, all of it. It was insane. And the other thing is the travel insurance. We prepaid all of our travel insurance before we left, so we don't include it in our day-to-day costs because we're sort of it's done. So you will have to consider that if you're looking for a great option for insurance. We can we did so much research and we definitely found the best one. I spoke to them about this hospital visit and everything, and they were so good and so available. So there'll be a link on the screen now. Definitely go and have a look, and we highly recommend that you get yours with them because these guys have been incredible for us. If you're new here and you want to see what a day in the life is like or what some of our experiences have been like, we always try and keep our videos cinematic, fun and informative. We always include costs so that you can understand day to day what that sort of costs, what those costs look like. Then definitely please do subscribe and follow along. There'll be a video coming out very soon on the Indonesian cost of living, as well as some really cool experiences that we've had already in Indo, as well as a few more coming from around the Bali area. And I'm not sure if I mentioned it earlier, but we're going to Europe very soon as well, so places like Poland and Bulgaria and Germany, and these places that are becoming popular for people to slow travel like we do. We're going to be sharing all of the same information and all the same day-to-day experiences. So subscribe, follow along, and thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the comments. Bye. Based on